You mean the same losers who have never claimed a single World Cup?
俺のサッカーを邪魔すんならシンクロ攻撃
I am a striker!
This video will cover Haikyu and Blue Lock in a way you've never seen before on YouTube. If you aren't familiar with these excellent Japanese sports mangas and animes, don't worry, I got you covered. Today we'll be answering the following question. If you could adopt one competitive mindset for the rest of your life, what would it be? The egoism of Blue Lock or the team synergy of Haikyu? And since these are both sports animes, what better way to answer this question than with the best of 5 debate between these two? In sports, when teams compete for a championship, they enter what's called a playoff bracket, and often play in a series where the first team to a certain number of wins will advance. In best of 5s, for example, the team that wins 3 games first wins. In this case, we'll examine the philosophy behind Blue Lock and Haikyu's competitive mindsets and measure them on these 5 categories, which I'll call games moving forward. Which mindset is more responsive to criticism? Which mindset brings the best out of the team? Which mindset allows for a greater understanding of the game? Which mindset is more adept at handling stress? And of course, which mindset will win you more championships? Welcome to the Think Tankard, everyone, the channel that throws top-tier arguments at each other and lets you decide the last one standing. But before we get into the first game, I have to give a brief overview of each show. Haikyu was created by Haruichi Furudate in 2014, and it follows Hinata, a middle schooler who watches Karasuno High's Little Giant play in the national volleyball tournament and wants nothing more than to be the next great volleyball striker. Hinata, just like the Little Giant, is a short king, which is a huge disadvantage in volleyball. But Hinata sticks with his dream, makes the Karasuno volleyball team, and works tirelessly to fly over the net and spike the ball on the biggest stage just like his idol. The competitive mindset of Haikyu, which I call Team Synergy, or Synergists when referring to just one player, is shown through the many character interactions throughout the show. Each team had a unique dynamic and philosophy, which was often represented through the team slogan. Regardless of what everyone stood for, they all worked towards the common goal of winning Japan's national volleyball tournament. A Synergist's competitive mindset is based on trust, humility, and making the best play that will help the team win. Team sports like volleyball aren't games where one player can score all the points, which is why the teams that stay on the court the longest know each other like the back of their hand. Blue Lock was created by Muneyuki Kaneshiro and Yusuke Nomura in 2018. It follows Isagi Yuichi, a high school soccer striker with big dreams of winning the World Cup and being the best player in the world, but he has no idea how to reach them, until he's invited to the state-of-the-art Blue Lock training facility run by the enigmatic and self-absorbed Jinpachi Ego. Ego explains to Isagi and the other 299 invited strikers that the purpose of Blue Lock is to develop one of them into the striker who will lead Japan to its first World Cup victory. But there's a catch. If you're eliminated from Blue Lock, you'll never be able to play on Japan's national team. Blue Lock's competitive mindset of egoism is shown to the viewers through Ego's monologues and Isagi's trials in the Blue Lock facility. In Ego's mind, the only thing that matters in soccer is scoring more goals than your opponent, which is why the best players in the world are obsessed with scoring their own goals. Japan needs an egoist, a player who loves to score, show off on the biggest stage, and crushing their rivals if they want any chance of winning that World Cup. An egoist's mindset is one where the only person you trust is yourself. Egoists let their ego give them limitless self-confidence and work tirelessly to become the most adaptable player possible. But there's one more thing we need to do before we get this debate started. For the egoist and synergist mindsets to feel unique, I decided to sort out all the things both sides would agree on. That way, I won't make the mistake of using one of these things as an objection or a rebuttal to the other side. 1. Complacency equals extinction. When any player starts to get drunk off their success, or starts to believe that they can't reach higher because other players are more talented or have better teammates, your growth is done. If you're staying still, your own skills regress, and your opponents will use that time to get even further ahead. 2. Through hard work, anything is possible. There is no cheat code or shortcut to the top. Even the most fortunate players on planet Earth can't reach their potential without putting in the work. If you want to be the best player possible, you can't skip out on this. 3. You play to win the game. In sports, many players started off loving the game as a kid, but whether it's sports, a job interview, or getting into college,
You passed the bar?
you play zero-sum games to win them, not for the fun of it. Anything where you put your all into it, or at minimum would suffer a serious setback if you lose, is a game that you're playing to win.
You play to win the game. Hello?
Hello.
4. Finding higher levels of competition is the fastest way to improve. Synergists and Egoists do not want to be the best in a subpar league, just like how gamers don't want to be the best silver player on the planet. If you want to rank up, play against the best, and if you're not there yet, play and beat those who are better than you. And 5. Focusing on the outcome is the fastest way to lose. As soon as you start telling yourself, I need to win this, you're playing not to lose. Your focus narrows, you won't take chances, and you'll overanalyze everything. Anyone who calculates what percentage they need to get on a final and still pass their class knows this feeling all too well. Winning is a process, and if you forget what steps you took to get there, enjoy your downward spiral.
Spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral.
Now we're finally ready to begin Game 1. Which mindset is more responsive to criticism? Blue Lock's Egoist will go first, and the order will alternate with each game. Now without further ado, let's get into it. Egoists respond better to criticism because they don't overcomplicate it. They will just ask this simple question: will applying this make me better? Egoists want to be away from the noise and dialed into their obsession. That's why you won't see them talking to everyone about what they need to work on or what challenges they should take on. They are their harshest critics. On the off chance they're stuck and need criticism, they know who to talk to. As Isagi developed his ego, he asked fewer people for help. He went from asking his whole team, to players he worked well with, to Rin, and eventually to Ego himself. If you want to get better, surround yourself with players better than you, because chances are, they'll know something you don't. Egoists aren't scientists. They don't wait for a consensus or see how others will react. They trust their instincts. Once they feel like there's something they can apply, they're already at the gym adapting and innovating their game. But there's another reason why Egoists don't overcomplicate criticism. People with the best of intentions can lead them astray. One mistake many Synergists make is asking the team how they can best support them. Sounds harmless enough on the surface, but here's the problem. As you continue to climb and the competition gets tougher, the things you rely on to win will no longer work. Eventually, you'll start to ask others what you have to do to get over the hump. And why wouldn't you? What you're doing now isn't working. But by doing this, you lose what made you great: your authenticity, your adaptability. You eventually mold yourself into a system that other people built, but never asked yourself if this system is what you needed to improve. You train incorrectly, build your body incorrectly, and Father Time catches up with you until you inevitably fall off. This problem is very similar to the career of Tyreke Evans, the 2010 NBA Rookie of the Year, who never replicated that success. Evans was drafted by the Sacramento Kings, the definition of incompetence. He averaged over 20 points per game as a rookie point guard and set the league on fire. But the Kings wanted him to handle the ball less and be a second or third scoring option, despite being the main bright spot on that team. Hindsight tells us that Evans being forced to play a role that didn't suit him because it would help the team stunted his development because he lost what made him great to stay on the court. Combine this with injuries and a multi-year suspension, and his once promising career is another tale of wasted potential. Egoists have the edge because they don't need criticism to keep moving forward. They will continue to adapt, innovate, and find challenges that go beyond winning. If they need criticism, they'll seek out other people they trust, or dig deeper and give it to themselves. For an Egoist, no two words are more harmful than good job, because there will always be more that they can do.
Change sides!
Egoists can't stop themselves from taking criticism personally, something that Blue Lock does not shy away from. How many teams fell apart because of one toxic player? How many players refused to mesh with a team because they couldn't run it their way? How many people could have offered these players career-saving advice, but didn't because of how they were treated? Synergists are humble, empathetic, and maintain positive relationships with their team. Each of these are essential when it comes to criticism. Think of Kageyama's character arc throughout Haikyu. When he was known as the king of the court in middle school, He didn't listen and yelled at anyone who wasn't playing his way. His coach's words fell on deaf ears, and his team eventually reached their breaking point and abandoned him. Joining Karasuno High, learning to work with those he disagreed with, and understanding what it means to be a setter opened Kageyama's mind to the criticism he ignored. And while he still may not be the best at giving criticism, he's trying, so we can give him that. When you look at the top teams in Haikyu, all of them are open and honest with the feedback they give each other. Players will have bad games, make mistakes, and have mental lapses. Egoists will yell at them or ignore them. Synergists know how to tailor criticism to make those players better. When Synergists receive criticism, it's never just about how they can improve, it's about how they can improve the team. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, used the criticism he received throughout his career to eventually become the best hockey player ever. At 14, one of his coaches told him to watch how Bobby Clarke played because it may improve his game. Being an undersized player his entire career, he noticed how Clarke would position himself behind the net to give his teammates options, because if he stayed in front of the net like everyone else, he would get knocked down. By using this technique to improve his playmaking, Gretzky would become the greatest goal scorer ever.
Are you sure?
But more importantly, he led his Edmonton Oilers to 4 Stanley Cups in the 1980s and has assisted on over 2,000 goals in his career. Gretzky, just like Kageyama, knew that his team was at its best when everyone's in sync, just like a well-oiled machine. Every time a member from Karasuno got criticism, they improved in a way that made everyone else's job easier. Suki's vision and communication made their block stronger. Asahi getting over his fears of blocks made the offense more dangerous, and Kageyama's sets made it easier for spikers to score. In each case, individual improvements gave the team more opportunities to win. Synergists get the edge here because the criticism they give and receive comes from a place of honesty, understanding, and respect. An Egoist couldn't have been the one to get Suki to love volleyball. It had to be Yamaguchi, because he knew only brutally honest feedback would work. Suki needed to be told that he was holding the team back, acting lame, and making excuses to justify his lack of effort. Synergists don't need to worry about criticism harming their self-worth, or a bad attitude that turns people away. They simply sit down, listen, and believe everyone on their team wants to win. Synergists get the most out of their team for multiple reasons. First, they never associate the work they put in with the outcome. It's just something you do day in and day out. And there's one player in Haikyu who embodies that more than anyone else in the entire show. That's Shinsuke Kida, captain of Inarizaki High. In a team full of outstanding talent, creative players, and a slogan that translates to "We don't need the memories," Kida is the rock that grounds them. Win or lose, Kida is the most consistent player on the court because, in his words, his play is the byproduct of the work he puts in every day. But consistency is just one piece of this puzzle. Synergists mop the floor with Egoists when it comes to communication. Proper communication allows players to create and execute strategies that one player can't do. Think of Karasuno's training arc in Season 2. In Season 1, the team was one-dimensional. Kageyama and Hinata were basically the entire offense, and once a team adapted to them, they lacked answers. Only through communication could they execute the various tempos, setting types, and blocking techniques they worked on all season. And once they got it, every Karasuno player became a scoring threat. Hinata found gaps in blocks that freed Asahi and Tanaka to attack. Nishinoya's unwavering confidence in his receives allowed the team to keep spiking as hard as they wanted, and Kageyama's ability to match his sets with the spiker's preferences made each spike that much harder to stop. Synergists know the strengths and weaknesses of their team and become leaders players rally behind. This is also why most coaches who were former players are also synergists. Karasuno's coach Ukai was a setter back in high school, and his interest in making every member of the team not just better players, but better people came from a place of genuine interest. Ukai immediately realized the potential of this Karasuno team with the arrival of Hinata, Kageyama, and Suki. And just like their slogan, he knew Karasuno would learn how to fly. Dan Campbell, head coach of the NFL's Detroit Lions, did something similar when he was hired in 2021. Campbell is a former player who knows how hard it is to win in the NFL. For decades, Detroit was an absolute tire fire with no direction or hope. The team Campbell inherited was a group of castaways, overpaid players paying the Detroit tax, and draft picks who've yet to develop. This was a team no one had expectations for, but Campbell saw it differently. He saw a team of undervalued players who could represent and rally the entire city of Detroit. Quote, "Detroit is a city where you roll up your sleeves and put in a hard day's work," Campbell said in one of his many press conferences. This team would have a blue-collar, kneecap-biting level of play that put the motor in Motor City. And the players bought into it. Despite not winning a game until Week 13 in his first year, and a 1-6 start the following year, these Lions teams showed more fight than their predecessors. Campbell is the type of coach who, no matter how good his team is, the process stays the same. You will work until you want to quit. He knew how to speak to players, and his players are so loyal, they'd run through a wall for him. In 2024, the Lions won their first playoff game since 1992, and are now Super Bowl contenders for the first time in their history. Synergists bring the most out of their team because they are more consistent, better leaders, and rally a team around a winning system, not one player. Egoism may get you to the highest level, but Synergists are the ones who stay there.
Change sides!
Egoists get the best out of their team by force because not everyone is wired like them. Most people don't grind 24/7, play to flex their superiority, and sacrifice everything to win. So it's up to them to show their teammates what they could be. People don't understand that being a professional athlete is the easy part. It's staying there and being the best that's impossible. Isagi getting his invitation to Blue Lock is one thing, but becoming the centerpiece for Team Z, scoring the winning goal against Team Y, and finding a path where he could be the best striker on the planet are just small steps on the hardest journey he will ever face. Egoists build teams that suit their needs, not the other way around. We see this play out throughout Ego's round-robin tournament in Season 1. Players started by creating a team of 3. If they win, they steal a player and play against another team of 4 players. If they lose a player and play against another team of 2. Players who manage to create a team of 5 advance, and if you're the last person on your team, you're out. So, when an Egoist is building a team, what do they look for? First, they want players who complement their playstyle. Since Isagi has great spatial awareness but terrible athletics, he wanted players who excel at winning one-on-ones. Players like Bachira and Nagi can easily slip defenders and would benefit greatly from Isagi's setups. But this only took Isagi's team so far. Egoists also need players that push them to get better. Baro and Shigiri fall into this category. Baro is an athletic freak, but controlling him is harder than learning astrophysics. Shigiri, on the other hand, has the speed to beat anyone in a sprint, but needs open space to work with. These players gave Isagi options he didn't have before, and if he wanted to win, he needed to leverage their talents. But this is not a pretty process. While Nagi and Baro's fights were more amusing than serious, let me give a more realistic example. Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's personal trainer, explained in his book Relentless how Jordan would build his team every year. Quote, "I'm going to pass the ball to each of you once. If you don't do something with it, I won't make that mistake again." Jordan, like many egoists, didn't have time for bullshit and needed to know who he can trust as soon as possible. One of those players was Steve Kerr. Kerr wasn't afraid to push back when Jordan ran his mouth, so they exchanged punches. Jordan knew that he was in the wrong, but that didn't matter. In his mind, he just found a teammate that he could trust and would push him to be even better. And for Kerr, he said it was one of the best days of his life, because he earned the respect of the Michael Jordan. And how did this turn out for the Bulls? Just okay. They only recorded a 72-win season and won the NBA championship that year. This is what egoists do. You don't have to like them, but you can't deny the results. If a Synergist team is matched up against an egoist team, it would not be close. All the plans and team dynamics Synergists have mean nothing if the guy on the other side wants it more and will do everything to crush you. When you're matched up against someone like Jordan or Isagi, you can't stop them. All you can hope for is to slow them down. These players don't forgive themselves when they aren't impactful, and if you decide to trash talk them before a game, just don't.
He did it! There, Michael shakes the finger, but he finally got his dunk on Mount Matumbo.
Egoists have the edge here because they will get their team over the finish line by any means necessary. As heavyweight boxing champ Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face, and egoists are the ones who do the punching. So give them the ball and get the out of the way. Egoists understand the games they play better because they're the protagonist. They don't concern themselves with meta or best practices. They work so both revolve around them. Remember how Ego built a Blue Lock roster to challenge Japan's under-20 team in Season 2? No one in their right mind thought a team of high school strikers would stand a chance against a team with international experience. Yet, they held their own. Let's break down how. First, they developed creativity. If an Egoist is matched up against someone better, they'll keep trying to make an impact. In the Blue Lock 11 tryouts, Isagi paired up with Rin's team because he knew Rin would make him better. But this goes the other way as well. Isagi's movements gave Rin options he wouldn't have otherwise. Both players evolved their games to coexist and assert themselves on the pitch. Egoists are naturally creative, and when competition gets so fierce that their usual tricks don't work, they'll make new ones. The second is simplicity. Chinese General Sun Tzu once said, "If you know your enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles."
Sun Tzu said that.
Blue Lock at its core teaches its players to develop an authentic playstyle they could use to become the best in the world. So why complicate things by trying to be something you're not? In Blue Lock, your competition is front and center. You see them work out, you watch their matches in the video room, and you can pick their brains at lunch. All of the tools to learn are right in front of you. There's no system, there's no structure, just the fear that if you aren't learning, someone is. Ego designed Blue Lock to start everyone back at zero, where the only ideas that matter are the ones that work. Third is winning one-on-ones. Ego's second selection weeded out those who couldn't create for themselves. If you play passive, a Synergist could make you a cog in their machine, but that won't make you better. Isagi and his real-life counterpart, Filippo Inzaghi, would have never learned how to read defenses and put themselves in positions to score if they couldn't win the mental chess match in front of them. And last, Egoists find challenges that go beyond winning. Being best is number one. Winning is number two, but they also have 10 extra side quests they look for every game. NBA legend Larry Bird was known for this. He'd trash talk opponents and tell them exactly where he'd shoot it from. He'd go up and tell opposing teams he'll play 3 quarters with only his left hand. He'd even ask staff to find the scoring title in the arena so he could break it. Bird learned the game of basketball to prove his superiority, and made winning a byproduct of the impossible tasks he put on himself. Egoists understand whatever game they're playing better than Synergists, because no one will ever play the same way they do. Egoists know their strengths and how to filter information. They keep the learning process simple, and let their knowledge evolve with them. They know they can't get ahead by training and studying like everyone else. So, they work to make the game synonymous with them.
Change sides!
When a Synergist studies the game they're playing, it's all about optimizing the team. When Karasuno played against Inarizaki High, Tanaka wasn't getting anything going offensively. But Kageyama noticed he was still having a great game. The score sheet didn't reflect it, and the normally energetic Tanaka started to doubt himself. So, when he asked Kageyama to stop giving him the ball, Kageyama told him no. An Egoist would accept this request because he lost confidence. Kageyama, on the other hand, saw the role Tanaka was playing, recognized that he was on his game, and let him hit the line shot he was looking for all set. Kenma, Nakoma High's setter, also used this against Karasuno in their Nationals match. Knowing that his team's strengths came from observation and defense, Kenma spent the entire first set to develop a plan to stop Karasuno's relentless attacks. By messing with Hinata's rhythms and limiting his involvement, Kenma made Karasuno's greatest strength their biggest weakness. Both Kageyama and Kenma take a detailed approach to learning. They see it as a logical process everyone works towards, not something one person can push onto others. Synergists have a scientific, almost clinical style of play where no movement is wasted. They understand what options are the highest percentage, and create the space necessary to make these plays. If their first option doesn't work, they'll go down the list and beat you with precision. I can think of 2 players who best fit this mold, who just so happen to have Magic in their nicknames. The NBA's Magic Johnson, and the NHL's Magic Man, Pavel Datsyuk. Magic Johnson joined the Los Angeles Lakers in 1980 and immediately brought energy to a team in desperate need of it. Johnson's basketball IQ and his 6'9" frame gave him the speed and passing ability to find teammates in transition. In a league dominated by defense and physicality, Johnson found openings that no one else could see. His teammates knew that if they got open, they'd get the ball. Johnson's fast-paced, efficient playstyle was not only entertaining, but dominating. Johnson and the Showtime Lakers won 5 championships in the 1980s and brought life back to a league on its last legs. When Pavel Datsyuk came into the NHL in 2001, he didn't speak any English, was the politest person on the ice, and had people asking, where did this guy learn to do that, on a daily occurrence. Datsyuk was so creative on the offensive end, he revolutionized hockey. You couldn't take the puck away from him, he'd take it away from you without drawing penalties, and once he found open space, get ready to be on the highlight reel. Despite never having the league's numbers to be seen as the best, he was consistently ranked by other players as the best in multiple categories. Datsyuk helped lead the Detroit Red Wings to 2 Stanley Cups in the 2000s and transformed the NHL to must-see TV. Synergists learn the games they play by seeing the bigger picture. They get their teammates involved, make the job easy for them, and set up plays so quickly that defenses have to guess what'll happen next. When everyone's on the same page, winning is that much easier.
Are you sure?
Synergists are better at managing stress because they're calm under pressure. They know that if they take a deep breath and focus on finding the right play, they'll put their team in a position to win. Of course, this doesn't mean they never get in their own head. Remember when Karasuno was rallying against Inarizaki and got so caught up in winning, they nearly tired themselves out? That's the inevitability of stress. Your vision narrows and your mind enters survival mode. Coach Ukai recognized this problem, and after telling the team to slow down, Hinata made a nice, high receive that changed the set's dynamic. Synergists know that finding even the smallest play that gets the team back in control makes all the difference. When Egoists play stressed, they let their emotions run wild, and while they may say they're in control, their emotions control them. Look at Tiger Woods, whose cheating scandal ruined his personal life, and his golf swing. Or what about football players Antonio Brown and Vontaze Burfict, who let their CT egos cut their careers short? One synergist who is always in control is Joe Cool himself, Joe Montana, one of football's most successful quarterbacks. Before joining the NFL's San Francisco 49ers in 1979, Montana developed a reputation for winning games from behind because of his calm and collected demeanor. Montana described himself as the mailman who got the ball to players who could do things with it. And if he wanted to do this effectively, he had to convince himself and the team that even if they're getting crushed, the game isn't over until the ball hits the ground with no time remaining. Montana's calm, never-say-die attitude helped lead the 49ers to 4 Super Bowl victories in the 1980s and 31 fourth-quarter comebacks in his career. Synergists manage stress because they have this childlike love of the game that is equally infectious as it is stupid. They want nothing more than to stay on the court and never forget what steps they took to get there. Hinata never forgot the years of practicing by himself and his real first game. All the days of bike riding, jumping, and working on his spikes mattered. All of the people who helped him improve hold a special place in his heart. And when things got stressful for Karasuno, who else would break the tension by saying, "Did you see my receive?" in the middle of a timeout? Egoists are so on edge that they don't know how to just let things happen. When you care solely about being the best, you don't appreciate the little things. They lack gratitude and lose their sense of enjoyment for what they do. Eventually, the game that was once their outlet becomes a toxic void that consumes their life. They say they embrace the stress head on because that's all they can do. Synergists are obsessed too. They want to win, but the steps they take to get there are much healthier. They want to make the right play, share a laugh, and be the beacon of hope that can get the team over the finish line. They won't force shots that aren't there to prove they can handle pressure. They'll take a deep breath, examine everything around them, and show their team that everything they've built up to this point was worth it as they make the winning play.
Change sides!
Egoists are better at handling stress because it's their natural habitat. Egoists hate calm. They're intense, filled with negative emotions, and have a desire to win that's so extreme that most people can't relate to it. But most importantly, stress is where they find their flow state. When the stakes are their highest, and time is winding down, and everyone's exhausted, egoists push themselves further because they know that the toughest environments separate the best in the world from everyone else. Look no further than Team Blue Lock's performance against Japan's under-20 team. In that game, Rin found his flow state and surpassed his brother's side. Isagi flipped Ego's script and forced him to play to win. And Baro devouring Isagi created a level of unpredictability no one could have seen coming. High-stress moments are where Egoists let their villain arcs take center stage. They thrive on hostility, doubt, and the media telling them they aren't good enough. Egoists like Rin see themselves as the final boss. When we first meet Rin, he's powerful, cocky, and looks down on everyone else because he has a bigger goal in mind. He's fine being misunderstood, and doesn't waste his time on players who aren't valuable. But most importantly, he's in control. In the second selection, Rin showed off his accuracy to prove to everyone else that all roads lead to him. Synergists think stress is something to control because the heightened emotions can get you off your game. An egoist like Rin knows that emotions lead to action, and stress is where other people crumble. Think of players who are currently playing right now. Luka Doncic, Juan Soto, Caitlin Clark, Lewandowski, I can go on. Each of them elevates their games in the most crucial moments and will their team to wins they had no business getting. They're fine being the villain because that's what it means to get results. Even if you're the nicest person off the field, people will still hate you, so why not give them what they want? But there are egoists who not just embrace the role of being a villain, but revel in it. They see stress as a weapon. They'll talk trash, play dirty, and live rent-free in your head. And who else fits this description more than Ryusei Shido? There's no other way around it. This dude is absolutely insane. He plays a style of soccer no one can control aside from Sayatoshi, picks fights with everyone, and has an internal monologue that reminds me of Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. If this guy feels stress, I sure as shit didn't see it, because he's too busy throwing it back on his opponents. Shido is the ultimate mosquito in Blue Lock. Every time a player tries to get rid of him, he'll keep buzzing in your ear. When stress heightens, Synergists spend more mental energy staying in control. But for someone like Shido, more stress is just more firepower. Egoists handle stress better than Synergists because this is where they are most comfortable. They love the pressure and the diamonds it creates. To an egoist, stress is neither a problem to solve nor a reality to experience. It's a tool the best know how to leverage. Egoists win more championships because, as Isagi so graciously said, "For the sake of winning, I shall destroy everything about me. I'll be reborn as many times as I need." Championships are the one environment where players and teams evolve at a rapid pace. Championships are also the ultimate test for an egoist's legacy. People love a good story.
There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story.
And the media often props up a rivalry between two-star players to create buzz. Remember when I said egoists love playing the villain? Well, to be a villain, you need someone to crush. And what better person than someone who's just as good as you, and the world compares your legacy to? Think of Isagi's rivalry with Rin. What does Rin have that Isagi doesn't? Short answer, actual talent. Light spoilers to the Blue Lock manga if you haven't read past the anime. Skip to this timestamp if you'd like. Ego explains to Ari that there are two different types of egoists: geniuses and talented learners. Geniuses are players who have skills that other players can't easily replicate and understand, like Nagi with his trapping and Rin's accuracy. But geniuses are often misunderstood. Think of a prodigy whose curiosity transformed the art world forever, or an engineer who created the next generation of computers. Geniuses need talented learners to thrive, people who know how to leverage their talents by seeing what can be. To keep the historical examples going, Andrea del Verrocchio helped a young Da Vinci transcend the fundamentals of art, and Steve Jobs helped bring Steve Wozniak's designs to the masses. Isagi also fits in this category. He may have low athleticism, but he's got a mind like no other. His awareness is so quick that he can beat geniuses at their own game because he knows them better than they do. Geniuses need talented learners to unlock their possibilities, and talented learners need geniuses to give themselves possibilities no one else could see. The point is, when everything is on the line, there's no fixed path to the top, there's just yours. And when you're staring at someone who found their path and wants it just as bad as you, what better time to crush them once and for all?
Hello there.
But most importantly, egoists will win more titles because they're ring chasers. They love winning championships and the personal accolades that come with it. That's why Tom Brady said his favorite ring was the next one, or why Ovechkin and Ronaldo won't retire until they shatter goal-scoring records. And if they want to win championships, they'll either be a snake and join a great team, or build one themselves. Kobe Bryant's legacy is a sight to behold. 5 NBA championships spanned across 2 decades, with an egoist mindset that is so famous it became known as the Mamba mentality. The Black Mamba showed no weakness, and had the viral moments to back it up. Whether it's not flinching with the ball nearly being thrown at his face, or nailing 2 free throws after tearing his Achilles, Kobe never lost focus. But I think his best moment is this one right here.
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
The job was never finished for Kobe, and when he won, he didn't celebrate long, because the grind never stops. This mentality not only spread to his team, but to the culture as a whole. People grew up watching Kobe win 3 championships in a row in the early 2000s, and 2 more to end the decade. They saw a person who put his all into his craft, and reaped the rewards. Egoists will win more championships because this is what they're born to do. They know that legacies are built by winning on the highest level, and will stop at nothing to prove themselves. While Synergists can keep their teams in the game, Egoists will rise to the occasion and score the winning goal that they can only dream of.
Change sides!
Synergists will win more championships in their career because they make everyone better. They're the foundation that shows teams what they're really capable of. Egoists see championships as the ultimate stage where they could prove their superiority. But in team sports, it's not about that. The best teams are the ones where anyone could shine. An egoist can bring a team of inferior players close to the title, but once they face a team with talent, coordination, and trust, they lose. If egoists want any chance of winning championships, they must build that level of chemistry themselves. Many teams who win championships often have to go through the pain of losing one first. Egoists like the NBA's James Harden will jump ship thinking the grass is greener, while Synergists work to keep their championship windows open. I can't think of a Synergist who stuck it out through thick and thin more than the unkillable Demon King Faker. For those unfamiliar, Faker is the greatest League of Legends player of all time. And for those who don't know what League of Legends is, consider yourself lucky. In a game with over 180 million active players, Faker has led his team, T1, to 5 world championships in his 12-year career. In League, Faker plays mid, a role that can be a facilitating role for others, or a selfish one. His deep character pool gives his team even more flexibility, but most importantly, he is calm under pressure and consistently makes the right play. In esports, you're lucky to be playing past 25 since every team is looking for the next great prodigy. For Faker, since turning 25, he's made it to 3 Worlds Finals in a row and is currently a back-to-back world champion. Faker and T1, just like the best teams in Haikyu, know how to develop a winning culture. The players follow the vision of the team and work together to hone their strengths, so even if they do lose, they bounce right back. Now here's a question. Which player in Haikyu do you think will win the most championships in their volleyball career? For me, it has to be Oikawa. On the surface, Oikawa seems like another egoist. He's cocky, loves the attention, and gets under people's skin. But if you look past his off-court personality, you see a player who deeply cares about volleyball, and never stops looking for ways to make his team better. When Oikawa met Ushijima after losing, Ushijima scolded him for not being his setter. Oikawa could have taken the easy way out and played second fiddle to an egoist, but the best players are the ones who can elevate anyone, which is why he'll never need Ushijima to win. While Oikawa has a great mind and a wicked serve, he doesn't have the innate talent that players like Ushijima and Kageyama possess. One problem that all Synergists eventually face is while you can elevate everyone around you, are you good enough that the best players in the world think you'll make them better? Oikawa got Alba Josai to punch above their weight, but this never stopped him from getting better. He had to improve his game to stay on the court, and prove to the world that selfless volleyball, where every player has the opportunity to shine, is the right way to win. Synergists like Oikawa will win more championships in their career because they know how to combine their individual talent with team play to create a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. They'll bounce back from losses faster, have a longer championship window, and let their belief in themselves and everyone carry their team to victory. Egoists may be able to get to the mountaintop, but Synergists are the ones who already have their flag on the summit.
That's the game.
Dang, this was a long one.
That's what she said.
5 games, 10 different arguments, and my anime backlog is officially out of control. If you like this video, comment Skibbity Fortnite Mr. Beast or any other trendy garbage below. Remember, you can help those in need by giving people with brain rot a decent video on this platform to watch. That, or you could just let me know who won and in how many games below. And with that, the Think Tankard is officially closed for the evening. I will talk to you again soon.